There's a 5-year waiting period between the time you make your first conversion into your Roth IRA to when you can withdraw it tax and penalty free, no matter what age you are. Now, if you're financially independent and you're going to be relying on the Roth IRA ladder to support yourself while you're in early retirement, how the heck are you going to live for those first 5 years? Well, I have a few solutions for you here. But first, real quick, let me touch a little bit more on that 5-year waiting period. So when you're doing the Roth IRA ladder, you're converting some of your assets from a traditional IRA or a traditional account into your Roth IRA. And when you convert a small amount of money, you have to pay taxes on that money. Okay, it is taxable income, whatever the value is of the conversion. If you convert money into your Roth IRA, you can withdraw it tax and penalty free no matter what age you are after that conversion has been in the account for 5 years. Otherwise, you would have to pay the dreaded 10% early withdrawal penalty. Let me go ahead and show you a oversimplified example on the screen real quick so you can see from year 1 to year 5 the amount adjust upwards for inflation, all right, and then you convert that amount into your Roth IRA. But it's not until 5 years later that you can withdraw that first conversion. And that first conversion that you withdraw can be tax and penalty free because you waited 5 years after you converted it. Now, just keep in mind, if you're over the age of 59 and a half, then it doesn't even matter. You don't have to do the Roth IRA ladder. You can just withdraw from your traditional IRA if you still have money in there, pay your taxes on the withdrawal. You don't have to convert it first. But this is for those of us who retire before age 59 and a half, and we want to get penalty-free income out of our retirement accounts. Now, this is not the video that explains in detail what the Roth IRA ladder is. I do have another video for you on that. So if you need some more knowledge on how to do the Roth IRA ladder, stay till the end of the video and I'm going to tell you about another video that I created. But for here, we're going to be talking about how to survive that 5-year waiting period. The very first solution that you might pursue is that you might just hold 5 years of living expenses in cash to make it through those 5 years of waiting. So you save up a large amount of money, you got 5 years worth of cash ready to spend, and then you can do your conversions, and then after that 5 years you can start living off of those conversions. However, I think that this is the worst option, like one of the worst options that you can do, and mainly that's because that's a lot of wasted opportunity cost. Okay, you could have a lot of gains within a 5-year period. Opportunity cost being what you could have gotten if you had it invested, and opportunity cost of inflation eating away with it. Even if we get back to historically, 2 to 3% inflation, it's still eating away at the value of that money. Now, if you were going to pursue this option, then it's pretty simple math. You're just going to take how much you're going to spend and multiply it by 5. You can adjust it upwards for inflation a little bit. To oversimplify it, if you're spending $30,000 per year, multiply it by 5, that should be about $150,000 in cash. So if you have about $150,000 in cash, maybe a little bit more, then you have your 5 years saved up for that Roth IRA conversion ladder. Now, the next option that you could pursue is you could start your Roth IRA ladder 5 years before you retire. So you can start converting while you're still working and then getting money into your Roth IRA that can be eligible for withdrawal 5 years after it's been converted. Now, this could be a good option. However, I think it could be a bad option as well. And that's because if you're still working full time, then that means that you're probably in a higher tax bracket. And by making those conversions, you're going to be converting money while you're in your highest marginal tax bracket. So you could be paying a high amount of taxes on those conversions. That amount that you do convert while you're still working is going to be pretty much added on top of your regular income, and then that's going to be taxed as well. So if you're already earning, let's say $100,000 per year, and you go ahead and you convert $30,000 into your Roth IRA, then that's going to get added on top of that 100. So it's going to be $130,000 of taxable income before your deductions and all that stuff. So it might bump you into a really high tax bracket, or it might keep a lot of your money into a high tax bracket. And so you're going to be losing a lot of that conversion to taxes, and I think it's pretty unnecessary. This might be a slightly better choice than holding all the money in cash, maybe or maybe not. I still don't think this is a very good option. The next option that you could pursue is just to suck it up and take that 10% early withdrawal penalty from your traditional accounts. I mean, yes, it's going to suck, but it is a 10% penalty. You can just look at it as a 10% tax. So when people hear the word penalty, they think of it, I think, worse than being a tax, but it's just an additional tax. So imagine this scenario, like all the money that you were putting into your traditional, 401k and traditional IRA, maybe you were saving, let's say 22% or 24% on taxes because that's the marginal bracket that you would have been in. Now that you're going to enter retirement, you might be in a 10% bracket or the 12% marginal tax bracket. But then when you also take that penalty, it's going to add 10% on top of that. So you're right back into the 22% tax bracket, or you're right back into the 20% tax bracket. That 10% penalty does suck, but it's not the end of the world because it's only going to last for 5 years. But of course, no one wants to pay that 10% penalty, including me. That's why I think this is not the best option for you to take. But again, it is another tool in your arsenal that you could maybe suck it up and take the penalty for up to 5 years. Another way to survive that 5-year waiting period is to hit the like button on all my videos. If you're enjoying this video so far, please make sure you like it, give it a thumbs up. It really does help me out, and I really do appreciate that. And while you're waiting for that 5 years, you can go ahead and like every other video that I made too. Okay, but seriously, let's get on to the next option here. And the next option I want to present to you is you could slowly transition into financial independence by going Barista FIRE for 5 years. So you can make your conversions, but during that 5 years, you could be working only part-time instead of full-time. That way, you're slowly easing your way into retirement. It's going to be a lot different of a lifestyle when you go from working, 40, 50 hours a week to working 20 hours a week when you're Barista FIRE. And maybe let's say that you're making half of the income that you were making before. So this shouldn't be that much of a difference when it comes to your overall lifestyle. You get to slowly transition into early retirement, but also you can still stay engaged and stay in the workplace. Let's say, for example, that when you were working full-time, you were making $60,000 per year, and you were saving half of that for financial independence. So you're saving $30,000 and spending $30,000. If you're going to start using the Roth IRA Ladder, you're going to start converting around $30,000. All right, so that's going to be $30,000 of taxable income. But then also you could be Barista FIRE, and you could be working half the amount of time that you were working before, and maybe let's say you were earning $30,000 per year. You can live off of your Barista FIRE income, and you can start converting $30,000. So you're going to have $60,000 of gross income in this example. You're going to have the amount of money that you need to live off of by only working part-time, and then you're going to have to wait 5 years while your conversions become eligible for tax-free withdrawal. Next up, we're going to get into the really good stuff here, some of the better ways that you can survive that 5-year waiting period. And the next option that I have for you is just use a taxable investment account. So while you're saving for financial independence, you can contribute to a regular taxable brokerage account. You could be investing in that account as well. You could have a somewhat significant portion of your assets in a regular taxable brokerage account. And the reason that you might want to do this is, one, there you can go ahead and use those investments to live while you're converting your money, but also because just in general, a taxable brokerage account, while it's not as tax beneficial, it's going to offer a lot of flexibility. And sometimes that flexibility of what you can do with your money is going to be worth a lot more than getting that 10% tax deduction or whatever you're getting from putting it into a retirement account. So it's not always about making the perfect optimal choice. Maybe the perfect optimal choice is putting it into a retirement account, but then you have to, play the games of doing the Roth IRA Ladder or some other kind of strategy in order to get it out without paying a penalty. But if you just invest it in the taxable account, you're not getting any special tax benefits from putting it in a regular taxable account. However, you have the ultimate flexibility, and that is that you can do whatever you want with those investments whenever you want, no matter what age you are. Now, really quick, I want to know from you in the comments below, do you have any other ideas for how you can survive that 5-year waiting period for the Roth IRA Ladder? I'm really curious to know if you think I missed anything, or which of these ideas that we've covered sounds the best to you. Please let me know in the comments below. Another way that you could survive that 5-year period is by using regular Roth IRA contributions. If you have Roth contributions, you can withdraw those tax and penalty free no matter what age you are, because your contributions have already been taxed. So unlike a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k where you get a tax deduction for the amount of money that you put into the account, you do not get that when you contribute to a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. So there is a rule that you can withdraw that contribution tax and penalty free at any time. So if you have enough contributions to your Roth accounts that you can withdraw for the next 5 years, then you can survive that 5-year waiting period just off of your Roth contributions. Now, usually it's going to have to be that you've been contributing to a Roth 401k, because you can contribute a lot more to a Roth 401k than you can to a Roth IRA. Right now, if it's only $6,000 per year for a Roth IRA, it's going to be really hard to have enough contributions to survive for 5 years off of, making those low amount of contributions. It's going to be a lot easier if you had a Roth 401k at work that you were contributing, let's say, $10,000, $15,000, $19,500 to every single year. So if you're in that situation where you do have a large amount of contributions to Roth accounts, this could be a really great avenue. However, the greatest avenue, the greatest strategy for how to survive that 5-year period is using a combination of all of the above. You don't have to only pick one of these strategies. You don't have to choose just one. You can use pretty much all of them, over that 5-year time period. You could do a combination of all of those in order to survive that 5-year waiting period. This is the best option, obviously, because it means that you have the ultimate flexibility and you have many different choices for how you're going to wait out that 5 years. So let me just give you a default example here. Let's say the first year you buckle down to part-time work while you're transitioning into financial independence. So the first year you're Barista FIRE and then you make your conversion. Then the second year you have 1 year of cash saved up and you're living off of that. And then for the next 3 years, you have built up enough money in your taxable investment account where you're very confident that you can use that money and live off of those next 3 years. And then boom, you just survived 5 years. The whole time you were making conversions into your Roth IRA, and now by year 6, you were able to withdraw the conversion that you made in year 1. So that is just a simple example. You can use a combination of any of those strategies that I mentioned before in order to survive your 5-year waiting period. But one thing that does not have a 5-year waiting period is to watch the video that I made that explains how to actually do the Roth IRA conversion ladder. Okay, it's a really great video, and I'm currently using the Roth IRA ladder right now as I'm living out my financial independence life. So I highly suggest you watch that video. It's going to pop up on the screen right after I get off the screen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from OnCashflow.com, and I hope to see you next time.